A very warm welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel, guys. How you doing? Do not forget to subscribe. So today we're reviewing another paste wax. This time we're going high tech with SiRamik, a brand that have been around, predominantly UK based. Got a good reputation for protection products, I think. Some interesting kind of sealants and ceramic coatings and that sort of stuff. That's where they're strong. This is their new lustrous graphene wax. So essentially it's a paste wax that offers up to 12 months durability, which is very high. I'm interested to see how it fares on that. Easy application, very important with paste waxes. High gloss and ultra slickness. Slickness is something that I want to see. And hydrophobic water behaviour. It's in a pretty cool pot. There's a little bit of skewing on the label as I'm speaking here. I just noticed that. But it's pretty well presented. Good pot. And we've got instructions there. So it contains their cutting edge graphene technology with the traditional richness of a premium paste wax. It doesn't say anything about the composition of the wax, which I always like to know. Is it carnauba? Is it synthetic wax? Sharing the same innovations found in their lustrous paint sealant that we've got down here. This lustrous plus, I thought that was a really good paintwork sealant that that we reviewed ages ago on the channel. So this advanced formula delivers exceptional slickness, high gloss and 12 months durability. And then we've got the application there. You apply it to prepped paintwork, which we've got a polished and panel wiped wing and hood or bonnet. And I'm going to apply it to the test panel. So let's get the lid off it. Oh, geez. It's where you need two hands. You need two hands. I can't do it. Oh, yes, I've done it. While I'm getting the lid off, let's just look at prices. This product costs £39 for 200 grams. If we compare that to Swiss Vax, £270 for 200 grams, close enough. Shoal, £215 for 200 mil. Some cheaper waxes, Colonite 915, £23.99 for 340 mil. So that's considerably cheaper. The Built Hamber Double Speed, the sort of cheapest premium wax, 250 grams for £16.95. That's the best price you'll get, on a durability hydrophobic wax. So it gives you an idea. It's kind of over double the cost of the Built Hamber product, but Auto Glim ultra high definition, 56 quid for 120 grams. So that's not a lot of wax. So that's a relatively expensive wax. And the one we've reviewed as well, Koch Chemie W01 hand wax, £96 for 175 mil. £39 for 200 grams. My feeling on that is that this is priced well at the point where people will pay that more than that high-end value, and especially for a tech wax with kind of graphene and whatever technology is in there, lustrous. I thought it was a silicon, curing silicon solvent-based sealant. So it's a tech wax, this to me. So I think the price is pretty good. Now let's have a look. We've got an applicator in there with very fine foam. There's a little bit of wax on the applicator. That's fine. Very nice applicator, soft, but you'll be able to hold that, get a grip on it and use both sides, so that's good. We've got a layer of plastic in this wax, so the applicator is not getting covered in wax, I guess. It's just getting around the edge of that. This is looks a bit fiddly to get this out. There we go. There we go. There we go. It's a little bit mucky doing this, but that serves a purpose, so I'm okay with that. Let's just put that there and come back over and look at this. So it's not the most tidy pour, and perhaps putting that plastic on top affects that. The wax is soft, so it's as I'm pushing into it, I can feel it giving. It's quite a soft wax, but yeah, I've seen softer, but it's giving up straight away. There's a little bit of shrinkage there and cracking and a little bit of bubbles around the edge from the froth where it's poured. Straight away though, it wants to oil up. So I think this is going to be quite slidey when I apply it, which is good. So let's go straight on to the application. We've covered price, and I think at the moment price is a strong point, I think, for this particular product. Although it's not cheap, is it? But it's not expensive at that kind of price point. And this 200 gram pot is going to last you a while. Now I'm just going to put the camera down to allow me to pick this wax up properly. So let's get that in there and let's give it a little quarter turn so we just pick up a little bit of wax. So there's not much wax there, but we're going to go on the test panel first. So here we go. Let's get some light so we can see what we're doing. This test panel is being compounded, so it's got that wool haze on it, which I like to test on. It's pre-gloss readings and pre-haze readings are there. So sort of medium gloss and quite a lot of haze as you'd expect, and that allows us to see the filling effect. So let's just get this on. So it's not quite as oily and spreadable as the Koch wax that I've just seen, but I didn't pick up a lot, so I just probably need to get that applicator working. But it spreads okay, just needs a little bit more working. You see there where I'm going over it, it's not putting out the wax, so it's not quite as oily and buttery as the Koch, but it is slick. It is slick and slidey, I'll give it that. Now, yeah, I think I need a little bit more wax. I didn't want to put much on because it's just the test panel, but let's get a bit more going because there was more product on the other ones. And I'll load it up a bit more. There we go. Yeah. So this will just give me yeah, it's a thicker wax. It's not as spreadable as the Koch or the Q, but at least now when I'm going over the panel, I'm getting the wax on there. So I'll just thin that down a little bit because that's a lot. And we'll leave that to cure. So we know we're going to have a good wax layer on there. Right, let's go on to our car panel. We've got a good amount of wax on this applicator. Let's get the light so you can see the spread. Yeah, and it's nice. It's nearly buttery, but it's not got that real looseness that an oily show wax has. But I tell you, it's slidey. You can probably see that. Yeah, it's good. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not crunching up. It's not difficult to spread. What does it smell like? Yeah, it has that, I think that has some fragrance in it. It's got like a fresh smell. It's a nice wax. Just want you to see it so you get an idea of what you're going to get. Let's go down here. And it's still going. It's starting to dry out a little bit now though. You see where I'm going over that panel? You see, you want to see the wax film. It's just taking a little bit more working as I hit like fresh panel. You see that? So I'm having to go in with a little bit more pressure, squeeze a bit more wax out the applicator to get it going. So it's definitely not as spreadable as the Koch. That Koch was a 10 out of 10 on the spread. This would be like an 8, I think. But it is slick, I tell you. It's just not, it's thicker. Slightly less buttery, but good. Good and clean. Yeah. So let's keep going. See if it becomes a problem and I need to load up. See, I think I would probably need to get a little bit more. But you can still see it's going. So as long as you're getting some on there, you're good to go. That's fine. That's fine. Just keep working it. Yeah, that's got wax all over it. Let's just pick up a little bit more. You can see it's breaking down in the jar a little bit, and where it's shrunk on the edges, you're pulling it away from the edge of the jar. Okay, we've got more. Let's get a nice shot of this going on. Smell is good. It's not some sort of overpowering solvent smell. It just has a fresh smell. Get that in there. So you can see that wax there. Yeah, it has like a lavendery smell, I think. It's not making me sniff, which is nice. Yeah, so I'd say there's no problems at all applying that. That's an 8 out of 10 because it's slightly thicker than other waxes. And you might need to come back and load up a little bit more. Let me just get a good sniff of this. The nails, you know. Yes, a weird. I can smell a bit of solvent. I can smell a bit of solvent. Yeah, it's quite oily. Okay, let's leave this off to cure. It says a few minutes, so I'm going to keep an eye on it. And when I think it's cured and toughened up, we'll come back and we'll talk about buffage. Okay, so we're back. It's been over 10 minutes. The wax has hazed up, and I think it's really ready to buff now, but just poking it with my finger, it's toughened a bit, but it's not completely dry cured, and I don't think I'm ever going to get a complete dry cure on this. I could leave it half an hour, and I think it's still going to be the same. It might continue to vape out. So it's not, at least in this cold climate, it's not a dry curing wax within 10 minutes, but I think we're ready to buff. So let's go. What's this going to be like? So we're using a shaggy cloth. I like using these shaggy cloths for kind of waxes because they're absorbent. They tend to pick up well. Okay. Well, it's not crunchy and it's not stiff, but it's still a little bit wet. So what I can see, that you can't see, is because it's not fully dry yet, when I'm buffing it, it's just not picking up like a cured wax would. So I would leave this longer, in my opinion. So I'm going to come back. Okay, we're back. I've left it another 10 minutes. And I think this wax now is ready to buff. I think. That's 20 minutes. It is cold, which affects vaping out time and all that sort of stuff. But when I buffed it before, it felt too wet and oily still for the buff. So let's go back in again, see where we're at. So you can see there, when it does that finger swipe and the surface feels a bit drier, yeah, that's cured. I think that's ready to be buffed now. So let's go again. Let's get the camera in the right place so you can see the buff. Okay, it's interesting. Yeah, it's definitely cured up more now though. So if I go no pressure at all and just swipe over it, it needs a bit more buffage. It needs a little bit of buffage. Nothing too bad though, but just a bit of buffage. Just a bit of buffage. So let's get the circular motion going. So you can see some wax there. Let's get all that. It's not grabby, it's not crunchy. It is nice and smooth. It is nice, yeah, it is nice and slick. That reminds me of the Koch. Really nice feel to the paintwork. That's good. So that's not particularly difficult, but it's not like a single kind of buff. You know, we've talked about sealants in the past, and I've used like the Jesscar sealant. You just glide the microfiber over it, it picks it up. It's more like you'd expect from a wax. It just needs a little bit more buffing. So let's do the bonnet and you can see that in action. So where I've got the light there, let's go over this bit. It's not bad though, but it's just those little bits where it's curing off and there's little higher bits, and you just got to give that another little bit more buff to get it all off. This is quite a soft cloth. So that film of wax is definitely, as it cures out, hardens off more, and it's a slower cure with this product. So the Koch was really ready after kind of 10 minutes. In this temperature, that seems about right. It needed about 20 minutes. because that time around when I'm buffing it, what I'm not seeing is that that's still that wet looseness. You don't really want to buff a wax that it tells you to, you know, wait for it to dry before you buff it. So I think 20 minutes in the winter, maybe less in summer, can make a big difference. We're probably around sort of 6 or 7 degrees. You know, and solvents will vaporize quicker in higher temperatures. So winter, they can need a little bit longer curing, but that's good. I just want to get a light and just see if I've missed any bits, which you always have to do with a paste wax. It's looking pretty good to me. And sometimes you can apply a paste wax and think you're all good and get it outside and we're in strong sunlight and you can see bits that you haven't necessarily got and you need to go and buff it again, but that looks pretty good. So it's not difficult to buff. We'll rank everything and we'll rate everything at the end. It's not like a 10 out of 10 on spreadability, more like a sort of 7.5. It's reasonably spreadable. And the buff is probably again somewhere in the 7 regions. I've just been playing around doing the Koch wax and I've got that in my head. And I think the spread and buff on the Koch was easier. Definitely the spread was a lot looser and kind of easy to spread, but both of these products, both of them, in fact I might even give that to the SiRamiks. I might even give that, but we're going to do proper slickness test, but that finish on that is slidey, which I really, really like, and it's slidey under the microfiber as well. So yeah, no real problems there, guys. So we have done our application. I'll buff it off of the test panel. That test panel I'll leave for 24 hours, and then I'm going to do the tilt table slickness testing, post gloss reading testing, hydrophobicity testing, see how beady it is. And then that panel, we will put it outside and start washing it with pH neutral shampoo over the course of a couple of weeks and see how they degrade. What am I expecting? Well, I've got real high hopes that the SiRamiks, especially when you see a tougher film, that can bode well for durability. So I'm hoping the SiRamiks can bead like crazy and last on the panel. If it can outlast the Autoglim Ultra High Definition, then that's a good feather in the cap, because I think that UHD wax is probably, you know, probably about 3 months. It might be 6 months on paper, but the rule of thumb that you just tend to halve it is about right. So can the SiRamiks maintain its sort of beading and all that stuff longer than the ultra high definition? I don't expect it to be able to beat this old Fusso, because nothing can, but how close can it get to it? Or maybe it can get to it. Maybe can it outperform the Koch in durability? So these are all the things that excite me, and yeah, we're going to find out very soon. Right now for you guys. Okay guys, so I'm ready to move on to the second part of this video, which is all the rest of the performance stuff, but I'll just do a complete recap. I know it's going to be quite fresh in your mind. Cost, I'm going to give this product a 6 out of 10, maybe a 6.5 out of 10, based on £39 for 200 grams. Do you think that's fair? Do you think that's unfair? We've given you all the price comparisons. I think it's decent value actually, and I'm not put off by the price for a graphene performance wax and all that sort of stuff. I think it's okay. Application, I think I've talked about this when I was applying it. Yes, somewhere between 7 and 8. So let's just go 7.5. It doesn't have the buttery oiliness of a show wax. You know, it needs a bit of working. It needs a bit of product there to make sure you're getting that wax over it. It does need a longer cure, 20 minutes in this cold temperature, and it does. Once it starts to cure, that film can just require a little bit more buffing. I wouldn't describe it though as anything particularly problematic. So I think a 7.5 overall in the application is probably about right. Next, slickness. So when we did our tilt table test, benchmarking this against Fusso, extra auto glim ultra high definition and the Koch Chemie W01 wax, it was the second slickest after the PTFE based Fusso, which tends to always have the lowest friction because of the nature of the materials. Graphene though, whenever it's in a product, I tend to notice that those products perform well in these types of tests. It's very slick, it's very noticeably slick. It feels nice after you've buffed it when you run the microfiber over it. That's one of the key features of this product. I'm going to give it like an 8.5 on slickness. I think it's good. Not like a 10. It would need to top that, you know, but very, very good on slickness. Next, hydrophobicity after application and left for 24 hours before left longer than that before we actually detergent it. But the beading on this is, on application after cure, is very good. I am going to say it's not, there will be some other products that might be slightly more hydrophobic, but if they are, you're going to struggle to actually notice it. It's up there. It's up there with the beadage. It's really good. I'm going to say 9 out of 10. Gloss, I will overlay you the gloss data where what's going on with the camera? Where we measure the increment of gloss and the reduction in haze. A reduction in haze is shown as a plus in that far right part of where I've recorded the data. You can have a look at the gloss data. I will say this, if you apply it to a car and you buff it and you get your buff right, your car is going to look shiny. It looks good. It looks good on the car. Durability. Now this is important because the product does claim 12 months durability, and 12-month durability claim is quite a big thing, and I don't know, what is going on with that camera? It's got like a mind of its own. It could be all over the place. Legs are moving. I've not seen a non-ceramic product last for 12 months on a car in any way that I can measure. We've talked about the limitations of measuring. We can talk about that a little bit more. Now on the test panel, it's been out there for about a week. It's been washed about 11 times, and I'm getting an indication of the degradation of the hydrophobic performance. The good news is it wasn't last in the test. It seems to be holding on to its performance a little bit better than the Koch Chemie product. It has good detergent resistance. The beading performance it doesn't get washed away kind of rapidly. It just diminishes in a more expected way. And it's now kind of sheeting, but it's still kind of hydrophobic. However, the Autoglim product, which I think is a 3 to 6 month product, they may claim 6, I would sort of say realistically it's closer to 3, is still demonstrating that hydrophobic performance a little bit more than the SiRamiks. So can the SiRamiks deliver 12 months? In my opinion, based on very limited testing and benchmarking it against things that I've lived with on my car, I would say it's unlikely that this would be able to last and still show you all this demonstrable hydrophobicity after 12 months. So in my opinion, no. Could it potentially get up to 6 months where you're still seeing stuff going on? Potentially. I would say at best, if I'm happy to say this is a 3 to 6 month product and it looks like it's lasting a bit longer, then that might be a bit of a stretch, but I think it should comfortably give you 3 months of protection. That's where I'm at with this. And so I'm going to say durability, if the Autoglim was like a 6 or a 7, I'm going to give this like a 6, okay? And I'm getting ready to kind of do my overall summary and roundup of this particular product. Now for me there's a slight problem with this, and this is the scaling thing. So I look at waxes and think, is this a performance sort of protection orientated product? Sorry. Or is this a show wax? Now when I got this product, it looks to me that it's a modern product with long durability claims that really I'm looking at it to be a performance product. When I look at a product and I buy it because I want it to be a performance product. The problem I have is you could argue I'm less worried about what the gloss readings are and what it does on a tilt table. And I'm sort of like, I want it to last on that panel and keep going. And the problem is I haven't found anything that can last longer than the old version that you can't, strictly speaking, buy anymore. The reason I still benchmark against this is because I think it's the one we all know lasts the longest. So it's like, if this was developed 20 or 30 years ago, which I think it was, anyone knows the date the old Fusso was developed, I'd like to know that, then a product that's relatively new to market, and uses modern technology like graphene and all that, I'd love it to raise the bar on how long it lasts on the panel. And that would be that icing on the cake. And I said the same thing about the fusion wax. If I don't see it, I'll tell you. And I'm not seeing it with this. So if I had all these in my cupboard and I'm going to put a wax on the car for winter that I want the max durability on, I probably wouldn't reach for the SiRamiks. And I would want to reach for it because it's a performance orientated wax. Where does it sit? It's definitely not a show wax. It has that curing system in it. It has technology. It's relatively good to apply, but not show waxy. It sits somewhere over here where it's leaning towards wanting to be a full out and out durability wax with all these modern ingredients, but it isn't quite giving that durability of what's right up here at the end. And that might stop me reaching for it, because in the summer when it's nice weather and stuff, I like to go for stuff which I really like the application of and I really like the buff of. So there are products that I think buff a little bit better and spread a little bit easier and just give you that old school carnauba feel that are still close enough to this on durability that it doesn't give me enough reasons to reach for it. So that's where I am with this particular product and SiRamiks. Yeah, I would like personally for this to be able to demonstrate and keep closer tabs on the Fusso on the durability test. We've talked about the limitations of durability testing and all that sort of stuff. Here's something I want to mention as well. I do think you can always improve branding and presenting. Now this isn't bad, is it? You're looking at that. That's reasonably sexy. We mentioned in the intro that the label was on wonky. Well, apparently the jar is tapered outwards, which you can. The brand put that on Instagram. So fair play. It's a bit hard to get the label on straight. But if we kind of look, well, actually, we just look at these products here. There's just a certain cleanliness to the design of the font and everything like that, which isn't quite there with this product. It's not a million miles off. It's not bad, but if we look at the actual sort of all this logoing and choice of fonts and branding and stuff like that, and the way this has been designed, this jar's been designed and labelled by a professional graphic designer. You know, and they've thought about a whole brand identity and stuff like that. And you can see it, and it's just not quite as strong. And the jar, even though this jar doesn't look bad, and there's a lot worse jars on the market, it's okay actually. It's not bad. It's not bad, but it could be top tier. And if it's top tier, I think it really helps. Whereas I think it's just okay. Don't know what you think about that, but we'd always talk about this. We talked about it when we spoke about that particular product and some of the problems with the triggers, and the brand went and changed the triggers and put like a different applicator nozzle on it that it's not reliant on the trigger. That's a sign of brands that respond well to all this kind of criticism, because you can ignore the criticism and say, nah, it's perfect, we're not changing anything. Or it tells me when they change things that they're interested in driving kind of everything forward, you know, and improvements. And that's what all this kind of criticism is there for. It's not there because I like criticising stuff. It's there because it can drive improvement. And it's such a competitive market that is now saturated with products and millions of brands that everything has to be to the top standard. if you're going to kind of stand out in this marketplace. I think SiRamik as a brand has a lot of potential. They were in early with all the ceramic technology, and this brand have a leaning towards a very good range of protection products that are well regarded, I think, within the scene. It's not a mass market brand, but the scene well regard their protection products. They could also look at trying to make a dent in products which are not just protection orientated. So surfactants, cleaning products, shampoos, snow foams. I know they've got them. Wheel cleaners, clay material, and every time they bring a product to the market, try and make it the very best and brand it very well and build an overall range so that they can move out of just being a brand with good protection products, if you know what I mean. You know, that's how I think they can grow. It sounds easy on paper to do, doesn't it? It sounds easy, but it's not easy. It's not easy. Yeah, so yeah, you just got to sort of like go for it. And social media as well. Like, I think I said that before. Try and get stuff going on social media because it generates sales. Like, here's something I do this a lot with certain products, is I'll just put like the brand name into YouTube and see what comes up and see what they're doing. If I put SiRamik into YouTube, the first thing that comes up is my video on that Lustrous. So I think as a brand, you've got to have stuff out there on your products so that people can come in. Like, at the bare minimum, if I had a brand, every product that I'd released, there'd be a technical video on it on a YouTube channel, because it's there forever, that explains the product and how to use it and what it's all about and stuff, so that people that are interested and want to buy it can actually go and watch a video on it. And yeah, you know, and then I'd mix that up with other videos of just detailing cars using that particular product, you know, doing what's called pure detailing content, where it's less about the product, but you use the product. And ironically, that generates more interest and sales than probably telling people about the product from 10 years of doing social media. Just do detailing content, but use your products. That's where I am with this. SiRamik is a competent product. Its claim to fame is really nice slickness on the panel after the buff. It's good value for where SiRamik sit in the marketplace. It's not cheap though. It does deliver on its hydrophobic performance. It's a glossy, it's a great looking product. I would just love to see it last 12 months and like keep going neck and neck with Fusso. Then, just that simple thing alone, if it maintained that hydrophobic performance the same as the original Fusso, the little underground scene of people that follow these products still and talk about them, they notice that sort of stuff, and then your product has a chance of going viral. And people say, you know, when they're talking about stuff on forums and Reddit, and well, it's mainly forums, Reddit, Facebook, and they're talking about waxes, someone might say, I'm looking for a wax that lasts a real long time. Boom, like 3 or 4 people jump in and go, it's this wax, it's this SiRamik wax, it's really good. That's when that goes on. Not only the person asking the question about which wax, you know, they should use, other people see that post and they go and buy it and stuff like that. And that's like how you create viral products that are known within the community. So is this going to become like that? I'm not 100% sure. Is it good? Yes, you get the idea. So that's my video on SiRamik's graphene paste wax. It would have been lovely. I'm just thinking about this lustrous stuff over here, and that's the problem, that if I wanted to actually go down that route of the maximum protection performance that I could get in a non-ceramic, that lustrous, from what I remember, lasts longer, you know, holds on to its beading performance more than that particular product from memory. Yeah, but I guess this is a paste wax, and it's the whole paste wax thing. You don't get that with that, but there you go. So thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned, and I'll see you soon on the Forensics Detailing channel. Bye for now.
There was a